Welcome to LegacyCast, your source for hearing from top influencers and industry experts and successful business owners who are telling their unique story about life, values, goals, business strategies, and the various causes they are so passionate about. Future generations will come to be impacted by what is happening today, whether positive or negative, and our mission is to focus on what is going to affect change for the better. Hosted each weekday by James Snow, a former U.S. Army combat medic, now founder and principal advisor of James Advisors Group, a full-service financial planning firm in North Texas. This is LegacyCast. Welcome, LegacyCast listeners. This is your host, James Snow, coming to you from North Texas, and having another wonderful rainy day at the moment. So, having our temperatures a little lower than usual, or we're not cooking at 130 right now, so that's nice. It's a little cooler with a little bit of rain, which we certainly do need. It's a blessing. But today we have a guest that is coming, and he's in the northeast area of our country, Trevor Barrett. And he's the CEO of OpSiix, and that actually is a company that has an app that's just very interesting. It's an app that connects vets organically, and so this is something that I certainly want to get some information here on the air and talk about, because this is something that is very needed out there, and I've done some referral to help Trevor try to connect with some people, and he is also connecting, from his side, obviously. But I mean, this is a huge thing. And so, without further ado, let's bring Trevor in here. Welcome to the program, Trevor.
Yeah, thanks for having me, James. I really appreciate it. So, just a kind of point of clarification, if you don't mind. The company is just starting out, so we're in the startup phase, and the app is currently being developed. So we're looking to launch for beta testing at the beginning of next summer.
Okay. Yeah, and this is something that's just really, really exciting from everything that I've been able to see. Because now kind of talk me through a little bit there. It's something that helps connect the vets, but also allows vets to do reviews about the different veteran service resources that are out there, and kind of pulls all the resources into one place, which is a huge thing. That's sort of a need, because I mean there's tens of thousands of different resources, but it's like so many resources really that it's overwhelming, and it kind of pulls it all into one spot, right?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. So basically, it's pretty daunting when you get out. It is either the resources seem like they're unattainable because there's so many hoops that you have to jump through, or just that there's so many that you don't know where to start. So a big part of what we want to do also, on top of kind of bringing veterans together organically in real life, through technology, is to kind of have a feature where the resources around you in your local community will be shown to you, and where they are, what they are, and there'll also be kind of similar to like Glassdoor, where people can kind of review a certain resource and let people know what they think of the resource, and kind of give it a rating.
Yeah, and that's really cool. When I got out, I just felt completely lost. When I came back, it was like, where do I turn? I didn't know what resources there were, and then from what little I would start looking, would then discover that there were tons of resources and not know which one. So I mean, this is huge. This is really a huge service, and I certainly thank you for having this particular concept, because it's going to help so many people.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. I know when I first got out, actually, I was in Iraq. I did 2 combat tours, and I had quite a rough time transitioning myself. And I had a couple of buddies actually commit suicide. And I think a big part of that is when you get out and you don't have that kind of sense of feeling like you're part of something bigger than yourself. So that purpose is stripped away from you, but then also you don't have that camaraderie or those guys to share your military wartime experiences with, or the support. A lot of that kind of contributes to why it's so important for vets to be able to still connect with each other in real life, which is kind of what we really want to do. So I think I had mentioned to you before, there are so many places for vets to go digitally, suicide prevention groups and, people like phone trees, like places where you can go and talk. But there's not really anything where we're utilizing technology to kind of create these interactions organically, like in real life.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, and so that would be a big step, is just being able to help connect the face-to-face time, and be able to then foster some of those community needs that we have, so to where we can be around people that have experienced the same things and understand, and so you don't have to kind of explain everything that you've been through, because the other person has also been through it, and so it becomes a safe place.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Now, something you were mentioning, though, kind of leans into again, kind of the purpose of what we discuss here, is you were talking about vets being part of something larger than themselves, and that really is kind of the definition of legacy, and why I'm glad to have you on here, is because when we signed up, we wanted to be part of something bigger, and a legacy is likewise something that's bigger than ourselves, and should be something that we involve ourselves in, and why I find that a lot of veterans do really kind of can buy into, I guess, if you will, can buy into the legacy concept, because it is so natural for us. What does having a legacy mean for you, though, personally, Trevor?
Well, that's such a great question, and I'm so glad you're asking this to so many different people, because I think it's a little bit different for all of us. I think for me, just because of my values and who I am and how much I enjoy social entrepreneurship, I think for me it's about having an impact in my community, both hopefully economically, but also kind of just enabling veterans to be successful. So if I can help, my community in a way where, I can see it, I can feel it, I think that will be a legacy for me. And so I kind of want to talk a little bit about when the GI Bill first came out, right? There were all of a sudden thousands of people that now had access to higher education that didn't previously have access to higher education, right? And what this led to was a whole bunch of people now having a higher set of skills and higher set of earning power than what they previously had from generations past. And one of the byproducts, now this was not the main contributing factor, but it certainly was a contributing factor, was why we were so economically prosperous in the 50s. It was because the middle class expanded tremendously. And a big part of that was because of the GI Bill being passed in the early 40s. The first GI Bill. I'm not even sure if it was actually called the GI Bill back then. So kind of what I want to do is to help veterans be successful, because I believe that, what better group of people to help and enable to serve their community than people that are just geared to serve. It's in our DNA,
Sure.
Whether that be doing a podcast like yours that adds value to the community, or a guy that's, fixing up cars and giving them away to people. Enabling those people, I think, will just make our community just so much better.
Yeah, and since we're on the topic of higher education, I believe that we were talking earlier. There's a lot of higher education resources that are like in New York, for example, and then nationally. Is that not correct that you're kind of plugged into?
Yeah, so I'm besides doing the OpSiix thing, I also am the head of veteran services here at Rochester Institute of Technology, which is a big part of the reason why OpSiix even exists. Is just because of they have an incubator here on campus called the Simone Center that kind of is where all the interdisciplinary collaboration on campus lives. And so they've kind of connected me with a lot of resources, but through a lot of the things that I do here at RIT, we are also connected with a program called the Veteran Upward Bound Program. Mm-hmm. Now, this isn't an RIT specific program. It's a grant that's given from the education department. And the one that we have is for $1.3 million over 5 years to service veterans. But this, it's a TRIO program, and it exists nationally. There are places all over the country that are doing it. It's an amazing program. So if you don't mind, I'd actually like to talk about it a little bit. So the one we have here at Rochester, for the Veterans Upward Bound Program, the director's name is Rachel Flaherty, and she can be reached at 585-475-5495 is their phone number. But the reason why this is such a tremendous benefit is when we first get out of the military, a lot of times most of us didn't do so hot in high school. I know I didn't. And my first stop had to be a community college. Well, when I went to community college, I had to take an AccuPlacer or placement exam, right? Mm-hmm. And I didn't do so well. So I had to do remedial coursework. Well, I had to use my GI Bill benefits for that remedial coursework, right? Well, this program provides that remedial training for free at no cost to the veteran. And then they're able to kind of get a step up and be able to use their benefits even further. But the program doesn't just focus on college. They'll help you get to wherever your goals are. A lot of times in the military, if we're not doing what we did in the military when we get out, we're going to have skill gaps that need to be filled. So depending on what your career goals are, you're going to have to try to fill some of those skill gaps. So that's what this program helps with. It helps with getting you into vocational school. It helps you getting certificates taken care of. It helps you getting into community college. It helps you get into 4-year schools. So it's an absolute tremendous program. Oh, and by the way, they'll help you with filling out your college applications, your financial aid forms, and advising you on how to use your benefits. So it's a really, really tremendous program.
Yeah, that's a huge thing because a lot of those forms, the FAFSA, for example, is very confusing, and a lot of people that I see, because being in the financial planning space, is people not knowing what they should do before filling out the forms. Yeah, and so they maybe could have restructured themselves differently, and so just having someone that can talk to you about what those how you fill out those forms, what that stuff means, is very, very helpful, because otherwise it's like the saying goes, you don't know what you don't know, and then once you've done it, then it's too late to kind of go back. So it's good to have some help on filling that stuff out and make sure that you do it correctly.
I only wish that I knew about it when I first got out.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Because like I've told many people, when I came back, I was just completely lost, and spent many years just sort of here, there, everywhere. It seemed that just trying to discover where myself was, and then finally stumbled upon it by the grace of God, I think, but. Was able to kind of find my course, but so many people are in that same situation, and that does